Drill Sergeant Martinez had trained over 3,000 Marines in his 20-year career, and he could spot a natural shooter from 100 yards away. So when a skinny college girl with thick glasses stepped up the firing line and whispered, "I've honestly never touched a gun before in my life," he couldn't help but chuckle. "This should be entertaining," he muttered to his assistant instructor. But what happened over the next hour would force Martinez to question everything he thought he knew about marksmanship genetics and the difference between training and instinct. Because Emma Richardson was about to prove that some people don't learn to shoot, they just remember how. Camp Pendleton's advanced marksmanship training facility was buzzing with the nervous energy of 24 recruits who had made it through basic training and were now competing for slots in specialized military occupational specialties. The morning California sun cast long shadows across the rifle range as Drill Sergeant Carlos Martinez conducted his pre-training briefing with the methodical precision of someone who had delivered the same speech thousands of times before. Martinez was a legend among Marine Corps instructors. 2 decades of training the Corps' finest marksmen had given him an almost supernatural ability to predict which recruits would excel and which would struggle. He could read body language, assess hand-eye coordination, and identify natural shooting ability within minutes of watching someone handle a rifle. His success rate in selecting future Marine snipers was unprecedented. Until the day Emma Richardson walked onto his range, Emma stood out for all the wrong reasons. At 22 years old, she was older than most recruits, having completed a master's degree in art history from Columbia University before enlisting. Her 5 feet 4 inches frame seemed almost fragile among the other candidates, and her thick-rimmed glasses gave her the appearance of someone more suited for a library than a battlefield. While other recruits carried themselves with the confidence that came from years of hunting, competitive shooting, or military family traditions, Emma moved with the uncertain gait of someone who had never held anything more dangerous than a paintbrush. Staff Sergeant Jennifer Walsh, Martinez's assistant instructor, had reviewed Emma's file that morning and found it both impressive and concerning. Perfect scores on every academic test the Marine Corps administered, outstanding physical fitness evaluations despite her small stature, psychological profiles that indicated exceptional stress resistance and analytical thinking, but absolutely zero firearms experience, no hunting background, and no military family history that would explain her decision to pursue Marine Corps service. Richardson Emma L. Martinez called out as he reviewed the roster. Stepped forward. Emma emerged from the group of recruits with visible nervousness, her hands trembling slightly as she approached the drill sergeant. She wore the standard-issue training uniform that somehow looked oversized on her petite frame, and her carefully maintained military bearing couldn't completely hide the anxiety that radiated from her presence. "Ma'am, what's your background with firearms?" Martinez asked, already knowing the answer from her enlistment paperwork, but wanted to hear it directly. "Drill Sergeant, I have no experience with firearms." Emma responded in a voice that was barely above a whisper. "I've honestly never touched a gun before in my life." The other recruits exchanged glances that mixed amusement with disbelief. Marcus Thompson, a 19-year-old from Texas whose father had been teaching him to shoot since age 6, couldn't suppress a slight smirk. Jennifer Kim, whose competitive shooting trophies had earned her early admission to marksmanship training, shook her head with barely concealed condescension. Martinez had encountered plenty of recruits with limited firearms experience, but Emma's complete lack of exposure was unusual for someone who had specifically requested sniper training. Most candidates arrived with at least basic familiarity from hunting, sport shooting, or law enforcement family connections. Emma's profile suggested someone who had made a calculated decision to pursue military service without any practical preparation for what that service would entail. "Richardson, why did you request assignment to advanced marksmanship training?" Martinez asked, his tone carrying the weight of genuine curiosity mixed with professional skepticism. Emma's response came after a long pause, as if she was searching for words to explain something she didn't fully understand herself. "Drill Sergeant, I can't really explain it logically. Something about precision shooting just calls to me. I know that sounds ridiculous coming from someone who's never held a rifle, but I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing." Martinez had heard similar responses from recruits who possessed natural shooting ability they weren't yet aware of. But Emma's complete lack of experience made her intuition seem more like wishful thinking than legitimate instinct. Still, his 2 decades of training had taught him that assumptions could be dangerous, and he had learned to let performance rather than appearances determine a recruit's potential. Richardson, you're going to start with basic rifle familiarization, Martinez announced. Staff Sergeant Walsh will walk you through weapon safety, basic handling procedures, and elementary shooting positions. We'll see if your instincts match your enthusiasm. The familiarization process took 3 hours. Emma learned to disassemble, clean, and reassemble an M4 rifle with a methodical approach of someone studying for an academic examination. Her questions were intelligent and detailed, focusing on the mechanical principles that govern the weapon's function rather than the practical aspects of marksmanship that most recruits found immediately relevant. Staff Sergeant Walsh found herself impressed by Emma's analytical approach to learning. While other recruits were eager to start shooting, Emma spent extensive time understanding ballistics theory, studying wind patterns, and asking complex questions about environmental factors that affected bullet trajectory. Her academic background was evident in how she processed information, but Walsh wasn't sure whether theoretical knowledge would translate into practical shooting ability. Richardson, you understand the theory better than most recruits I've trained, Walsh observed as Emma correctly calculated bullet drop for various distances. But theory and execution are completely different things. Are you ready to see how your academic knowledge applies to actual shooting? Emma nodded, though her nervousness was still evident. Staff Sergeant, I understand that everything I've learned is just preparation. I'm ready to find out whether I can actually do what I came here to learn. The transition from classroom instruction to live fire training was where most recruits either confirmed their potential or discovered their limitations. Martinez had positioned himself at the observation station where he could monitor each recruit's performance while providing immediate feedback and safety oversight. Emma's first shooting position was 100 yards, using iron sights on a standard M16 rifle. Basic qualification that every Marine was expected to master. Emma settled into her prone shooting position with surprising natural stability. Her academic understanding of shooting fundamentals translated into correct body positioning, proper sight alignment, and controlled breathing that impressed Walsh despite her complete lack of practical experience. When she fired her first shot, the silence that followed was longer than usual. Target hit center mass, called out the range safety officer through his spotting scope. Martinez raised his eyebrows but wasn't completely surprised. Beginner's luck combined with excellent instruction sometimes produce good first shots, even from inexperienced shooters. The real test would be consistency, whether Emma could repeat her performance across multiple targets and distances. Her second shot struck within inches of the first. Her third shot created a tight group that demonstrated control rather than accident. By her 10th shot, Emma had created a shooting pattern that most Marines achieved only after weeks of practice. Martinez found himself paying closer attention to her technique, looking for explanations for performance that exceeded normal learning curves. Richardson, how's the rifle feel to you? Martinez asked as Emma completed her first shooting string. Emma considered the question carefully before responding. Drill Sergeant, this might sound strange, but it feels familiar, like I've done this before, even though I know I haven't. The sight picture, the trigger pull, the recoil management, it all feels natural in a way I can't explain. Martinez had encountered this phenomenon before with exceptional shooters. Some recruits possessed natural kinesthetic intelligence that allowed them to rapidly acquire complex motor skills. But Emma's immediate proficiency suggested something beyond normal learning ability, an almost instinctive understanding of marksmanship that typically required years of experience to develop. Let's move you to the 300-yard line, Martinez decided. I want to see if your consistency holds at extended ranges. The 300-yard qualification represented a significant increase in difficulty. Environmental factors became more relevant. Sight adjustments required greater precision, and the smaller target size demanded improved accuracy. Most recruits needed several attempts to achieve qualifying scores at this distance, and many experienced shooters struggled with the transition from close-range to intermediate-range marksmanship. Emma approached the 300-yard challenge with the same methodical preparation she had demonstrated throughout her training. She studied wind flags' position along the range, Calculated sight adjustments based on ballistics data she had memorized and settled into her shooting position with movements that appeared increasingly fluid and confident. Her first shot at 300 yards struck the target's center ring with precision that surprised everyone observing. Her second shot created a group so tight that the range safety officer double-checked his spotting scope to confirm the impact location. By her fifth shot, Emma had achieved a shooting score that exceeded the qualification requirements for Marine Corps Scout snipers, standards that most recruits reached only after months of specialized training. Staff Sergeant Walsh approached Martinez with an expression that mixed amazement with confusion. "Sergeant, I've never seen anything like this. She's shooting at levels that our advanced students struggle to achieve. Either she's been lying about her experience, or we're witnessing something extraordinary." Martinez studied Emma's shooting form through his binoculars, analyzing her technique for evidence of prior training that she might be concealing. Her grip, stance, breathing control, and trigger management all demonstrated textbook precision, but they also showed the kind of fluid natural movement that couldn't be faked or rapidly acquired. This wasn't someone hiding extensive experience. This was someone discovering abilities she didn't know she possessed. "Richardson, report to the instructor station." Martinez called out. Emma secured her rifle and approached with the confident bearing of someone who had just discovered something significant about herself. The nervous uncertainty that had characterized her earlier behavior was being replaced by growing self-assurance based on demonstrated competence rather than wishful thinking. "Ma'am, your shooting performance is exceptional," Martinez said directly. "In 20 years of training Marines, I've never seen a recruit with zero experience achieve scores like yours. I need you to be completely honest with me. Have you ever received any firearms training that's not in your official record?" Emma met Martinez's gaze without hesitation. "Drill Sergeant, I swear to you that everything I told you about my experience is true. I have never fired a weapon before today. I can't explain what's happening any better than you can, but I'm not hiding any training or background that would account for this performance." Martinez believed her. Her shooting demonstrated natural ability rather than practiced technique, and her surprise at her own success seemed genuine rather than theatrical. But her performance raised questions about the nature of marksmanship talent and whether some individuals possess genetic or neurological advantages that transcended normal learning processes. "Richardson, I'm moving you to the 800-yard line," Martinez announced. "Advanced precision shooting that tests the limits of what most Marines can achieve with standard equipment. If you can maintain your performance at this distance, we're going to have some very interesting conversations about your future assignments." The 800-yard range represented elite-level marksmanship that challenged experienced snipers and required integration of advanced skills that most recruits never attempted. Environmental reading became critical, ballistic calculations required precision, and equipment limitations tested the boundaries of what standard military rifles could achieve. Success at this distance separated competent shooters from exceptional marksmen. Emma's preparation for the 800-yard challenge demonstrated growing confidence, combined with intelligent respect for the increased difficulty. She spent extensive time studying environmental conditions, consulting ballistic charts, and making scope adjustments with the methodical precision of someone who understood that success at this level required perfect execution of complex technical requirements. Her first shot at 800 yards struck within the target's scoring rings with accuracy that stunned the observing instructors. Marcus Thompson, the recruit from Texas whose family shooting background had made him confident in his own abilities, watched in disbelief as Emma achieved precision that exceeded his best efforts. Jennifer Kim, whose competitive shooting experience had earned her early recognition, found herself questioning whether her years of training were as valuable as she had believed. Emma's subsequent shots at 800 yards created groups that demonstrated not just accuracy, but the kind of consistency that indicated mastery rather than luck. Her understanding of wind reading, ballistic compensation, and precision shooting technique appeared to be developing in real time, as if each shot taught her something that immediately improved her next attempt. By the end of her 800-yard shooting string, Emma had achieved scores that qualified her for Marine Corps precision shooting teams, elite units that typically recruited from experienced snipers with years of specialized training. Her performance represented capabilities that challenged conventional understanding of how marksmanship skills were acquired and developed, Staff Sergeant Walsh approached Martinez with shooting data that documented Emma's progression from complete beginner to expert-level marksman in less than 6 hours. Sergeant, her scores are off the charts. She's shooting at levels that our instructor staff struggle to match. I've never seen natural ability like this. Martinez studied the shooting data while observing Emma's demeanor as she secured her equipment. She moved with growing confidence, but without arrogance, demonstrating the kind of professional competence that came from discovering genuine ability rather than artificial inflation of limited skills. Her surprise at her own performance seemed authentic, and her respect for the weapons and training process suggested someone who understood the significance of what was happening. Richardson, approach, Martinez commanded. Emma reported with bearing that had transformed over the course of the day from nervous uncertainty to quiet confidence based on demonstrated performance rather than theoretical knowledge. Ma'am, your shooting performance today has been extraordinary, Martinez said with a directness that characterized his training style. In 20 years of instruction, I have never witnessed natural marksmanship ability at the level you have demonstrated. Your scores qualify you for the most elite precision shooting assignments in the Marine Corps. Emma's response reflected genuine surprise mixed with growing self-awareness. Drill Sergeant, I'm as amazed as you are. When I picked up that rifle this morning, I had no idea I could do any of this. It feels like discovering a talent I never knew existed. Martinez made a decision that would change both Emma's military career and his understanding of how exceptional ability could emerge without warning or explanation. Richardson, I'm recommending you for immediate assignment to Marine Corps Scout sniper training, an advanced course that typically requires years of experience as prerequisite. Your demonstrated ability suggests you're ready for instruction that most Marines never receive. The recommendation represented recognition that transcended normal military advancement procedures. Scout sniper training was typically reserved for Marines who had demonstrated exceptional performance in combat roles and had earned selection through competitive processes that eliminated most candidates. Emma's direct assignment based on a single day's performance was unprecedented in Martinez's experience. Additionally, Martinez continued, I'm requesting permission to move you to the 1,500-yard range tomorrow. Extreme distance precision shooting that tests the absolute limits of human marksmanship capability. If you can maintain your performance at that range, we'll be documenting capabilities that redefine what the Marine Corps considers possible. The 1,500-yard challenge represented shooting at distances where environmental factors became dominant influences on bullet trajectory, equipment limitations approached their maximum effectiveness, and human skill requirements demanded perfection in every aspect of marksmanship technique. Success at this range separated good snipers from legendary ones. That evening, Emma sat in her barracks reviewing ballistics charts and environmental data for the next day's shooting challenge. Her transformation from nervous recruit to confident marksman had occurred with startling rapidity, but she approached the upcoming test with respect for its difficulty and determination to discover the full extent of her newly revealed abilities. Marcus Thompson approached her study area with a mixture of respect and curiosity. Richardson, I've been shooting since I was 6 years old, and I've never seen anything like what you did today. Where did that ability come from? Emma looked up from her calculations with honest uncertainty about the answer. Marcus, I honestly don't know. When I hold that rifle, everything just feels right. The sight picture, the trigger control, reading the wind. It's like remembering something I learned a long time ago but forgot I knew. The next morning arrived with perfect shooting conditions. Clear skies, minimal wind, excellent visibility that would minimize environmental challenges and allow Emma's natural ability to determine the outcome rather than external factors beyond her control. Martinez had invited additional instructors to observe the 1,500-yard attempt. Word of Emma's exceptional performance had circulated through the training command, and several senior staff members wanted to witness whether her abilities would continue to develop or reach natural limitations at extreme distances. Emma approached the 1,500-yard firing line with calm confidence that impressed the assembled observers. Her equipment preparation was methodical and professional, incorporating advanced techniques that demonstrated rapid learning combined with natural understanding of precision shooting requirements. Richardson, this is extreme distance precision shooting, Martinez announced. Environmental factors will test your ability to read conditions and make accurate calculations. Equipment limitations will demand perfect execution. Are you ready to attempt shooting that challenges the best marksman in the Marine Corps? Emma settled into her shooting position with movements that appeared increasingly fluid and professional. Drill Sergeant, I'm ready to discover what I'm capable of. What happened over the next 30 minutes redefined everyone's understanding of natural marksmanship ability. Emma's shots at 1,500 yards demonstrated precision that exceeded the performance of experienced snipers using the same equipment under identical conditions. Her ability to read environmental conditions, calculate ballistic solutions, and execute perfect shooting technique appear to be developing exponentially with each shot fired. Her final shooting group at 1,500 yards measured less than 6 inches, precision that represented world-class marksmanship achieved by someone who had been shooting for less than 2 days. The assembled instructors watched in silent amazement as Emma achieved accuracy that most snipers developed only after years of specialized training and thousands of rounds of practice. Staff Sergeant Walsh approached Martinez with shooting data that documented the most remarkable progression in marksmanship ability she had ever witnessed. Sergeant, she just achieved expert-level precision at extreme distance. Her natural ability appears to be unlimited by conventional training constraints. Martinez stared at Emma as she secured her equipment with professional competence that belied her minimal experience. 20 years of training had taught him to recognize exceptional talent, but Emma's abilities transcended every category of natural shooting ability he had previously encountered. Richardson, report. Martinez commanded. Emma approached with the confident bearing of someone who had discovered exceptional ability and understood its significance without allowing it to create arrogance or complacency. Ma'am, what you have accomplished over the past 2 days represents marksmanship capability that redefines what the Marine Corps considers possible for human shooters, Martinez said with a directness that characterizes recognition of genuine achievement. Your natural ability suggests potential for precision shooting assignments that exceed anything in current military doctrine. Emma's response reflected growing self-awareness combined with respect for the responsibility that came with exceptional capability. Drill Sergeant, I understand that these abilities come with obligations to use them properly. I'm ready to learn whatever Marine Corps thinks I should know. 3 months later, Emma graduated from Marine Corps Scout Sniper School with the highest scores in the program's history. Her instructors documented shooting capabilities that established new standards for precision marksmanship and led to her assignment with specialized units that operated beyond conventional military parameters. Drill Sergeant Martinez continued training Marines for several more years before retiring, but he never encountered another recruit whose natural ability matched Emma Richardson's extraordinary talent. He kept her shooting data as evidence that sometimes exceptional individuals emerge without warning, carrying capabilities that challenge every assumption about human potential and the difference between learned skills and inherent gifts. That Emma's story became legend among Marine Corps instructors. Proof that the most remarkable warriors sometimes arrive as complete unknowns who discover abilities that exceed everyone's expectations, including their own. Because sometimes the most unlikely people carry talents that can only be revealed when they're given the opportunity to attempt something impossible. The recruit who had never shot before became the sniper who redefined what shooting could be. And Martinez learned that 20 years of experience meant nothing when faced with someone who didn't need to learn what they already somehow knew.